Welcome to the Flippin' Finance Show, your source for financial education, entrepreneurship, and real estate investing. My name is Mario Cabral. I'm a licensed financial advisor. I have my co-host,
Daquan Carr, the hard money lender.
And we have a special guest in the building. This gentleman is a motivational speaker. He has founded Find the Wisdom, which is basically a company where he uplifts his community and empower them with positive words. He's also a football coach at a local high school here in Syracuse and a PE educator as well. So, without further ado, super excited to start this interview. Welcome, Alfonzo Whitehurst.
Fellas, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for bringing me in today to do this podcast interview with you guys. I'm really looking forward to share my knowledge with you guys and with the community and what we can all do together as young African-American males to give back to our community and better the world overall.
Yeah, that's key, man. I definitely that's why I love this podcast, because we bring on people within our community to uplift each other. And I feel like that's important because we don't really have too many role models in our community. So definitely, I'm glad that you're here to, educate as many people as possible, and, the people that we're targeting, because they definitely need it. So
Definitely. So what I'm gonna start off with, obviously, with my number one question is, what are you currently doing now? I know Mario mentioned like PE teacher, football coach, stuff like that, but let's get a little deep dive into like what your current status is.
All right, so my current status right now is I'm a physical education teacher at Van Dyne Elementary in Syracuse, and I also coach varsity football over at Corcoran. So right now I'm in my second year of being a physical education teacher. Last year is my first year. I won New York State Central North Zone first year health PE teacher of the year. So that was a big step. And this year with COVID and everything, things have definitely flipped, right?
Yeah.
So I went from being an in the classroom teacher to now teaching kids on a computer. So my biggest thing so far, like this year, is how can I continue to motivate my students and like keep my students positive, so they want to work, they want to stay active, and that's my job in life. Life's all about what you can do for someone else, right? So in these times that are difficult, what can we do for someone else? And I feel like we're all doing that right now. Mario, financial advisor, hard money lender, or realtor lender, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a physical education teacher and coach. So we're all doing our own part of life of how to better people in our communities.
yeah, and I like that too, that you said that we all have our own parts, but at the end of the day, it's to accomplish like the same goal. It's like a puzzle. Like I'm one piece financial advising. Daquan, he helps people invest in real estate to build wealth in that area. You motivate people. We're all pieces of the puzzle, but it's all, once we all put the pieces of the puzzle, it's all to accomplish the same goal, which is just to ultimately, help our people move forward.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a fact. We want to build beautiful homes in our community, right?
Yeah.
And when we build beautiful homes, you gotta have a foundation, right? We all come from the mud, right? But if we just stay in the mud all of our lives, we're never gonna get out. So we need to turn the mud into grass, right? So with all of our knowledge, different things that we give, we can plant seeds, and the mud turns into grass. And our families, everyone else growing up behind us, don't have to go through the mud.
Yeah, that's the main goal right there.
That's a bar
definitely.
right there.
Yes.
We start low, but the object is to keep moving forward and don't stay complacent, pretty much.
That's a fact.
So, I just want to ask you, like, what's like your main driving force? Like, what really drives Alfonzo?
So I'll say my main driving force is growing up. I'll be honest, like I was the fat, dirty kid in school, right? So we all know them kids, right? I ain't gonna sit here and lie, right? So growing up in the city school, like you're gonna get ribbed on, you're gonna get bombed, right? So I had to learn early how to talk shit back.
Yeah.
So someone call you fat and stink, like, all right, you could only tell me that so many times. I'm gonna talk about your haircut. I'm gonna talk about your awesome dirty clothes. So we gonna go back and forth, but those different things of like people saying those things never really brought me down. It just helped me realize that, like, hey, maybe I don't have everything, but like I'm still gonna give everyone everything that I have, right? So that's my overall mindset of who I am. Like I'm used to not having a lot, but I'm gonna still give everyone my all, right? Not enough people, I feel like, give enough of their heart and their energy if they're not receiving something back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how hard is it to give that energy to people who are not reciprocating that same energy back to you? Is it hard? Is it not? Like,
at first, I've actually thought about this before. I'm like, I feel like for me, it's not hard because it's the way I've grew up all my life, right? Like, I've always been the last person, right? I'm a big guy. I've always been the last person running, right? On teams, always the last person picked, like, oh, he can't do this, right? Last person to get chosen for different things. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna prove everyone wrong, right? Yeah. But I'm gonna prove them wrong humbly. Right, a lot of people they prove people wrong, but they're not humble about it, so people don't respect it. So my main goal in life is how can I like prove someone wrong respectfully, and now I'm gonna help them realize what they were doing wrong, right? So yeah, you were just disrespecting me, but I'm gonna kill you with kindness, and I'm gonna help you get to where I'm at now, right? Like I can look back right now. Right, I went to a city school. There's a lot of people that had Jordans, right? They had the FUBU back then, right? I was in school with the FUBU and the $15 Strawberries on, right? And
Sean John went crazy too.
Yeah, Sean John.
Denise.
Yep. And so my main thing is like, all right, you had that then, but that's not longevity. You have that temporarily, right? My main goal is how can I build myself up to have things for longevity? How I want to be good in the long run. And my biggest thing right now is like with my athletes at Corcoran is to show them that like, there are a lot of distractions out there in your life that can suck you in. Yes, I understand you guys want the Gucci belts, you want the Fendi, you want all this money right now, but that's dirty money. That money, you can't go buy a house in your own name. You can't buy a car in your own name, right? So you look at the hood now, it's like, you have all this money, but what do you have to show for it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I said before, no one in the hood right now is turning the mud into grass, but they all got all this money. So what are we really doing with it?
We're flexing. We're
flexing with renting cars with tint windows. That's all we got right now, right?
Every day on Facebook,
so we until we change our mindset of how we're going to turn the mud into grass in our own communities. We're not gonna go anywhere.
Nah, we're definitely the flashy generation. Like, it doesn't matter how much you actually have in your bank account. As long as you look rich, you look like you got money, then that's all that really matters. So we definitely need to just change that mindset of not trying to press people too much. That was a quote that I read. Like, there are people they spend all this money to look fly to impress people that they don't like on social media.
Yeah. Exactly.
That makes no sense.
Every day. I see it all the time. So that was I love the concept of, turning mud into grass. So obviously we all started off in the mud. So give us pretty much explain like your mud story. I would say, like, I know you mentioned like you were the kid, that everybody picked on and stuff like that. But let's just talk about like the real beginning. And pretty much change your mindset when you were in the mud. You woke up one day like, all right, time to turn my mud into grass.
All right, so I'll definitely say like overall growing up, right? So starting off my life journey at 4 years old, right? My mother was murdered and killed, right? I don't know my dad. Overall, as a young child, with me, my brother, my sister, my grandma, we moved 18 times, and a lot of different times. Like, our grandma make what she called potlucks, right? Whatever's in the house goes in one pot. We eating it, right? And I damn sure ate all of it, right? I get this big by just staring at it. So like other people would come eat it that like actually had. So really like, oh, you guys eat this? I'm like, but I'm supposed to eat then. And so overall growing up, I've always had the drive to want to help other people, like I was saying before. And I feel like the feeling of being at the bottom is what's driven me to never want to return to that spot. Because I grew up in the city schools and then I went to Baldwinsville in 10th grade. So I was able to see two sides of life, right? Very wealthy and in the lowest of the lows. So once I got to Baldwinsville and I seen that like, like these people actually want to help. and these people are here to see me do better. And I'm like, all right, like if I can use this knowledge that I'm learning here and bring it back to my community that like where I grew up in, like this could be a dangerous thing. Like there's this quote, it says, knowledge is power and no knowledge is wisdom, right? And my main thing is why I started finding the wisdom is experience, right? You think about a lot of kids that grew up in the city, they may be in second grade, but their mindset is not in second grade. They see things, they hear things that go on in their community every day where they have to grow up a lot faster than the average kid. So yeah, you're in second grade, but you have the mindset of a 10th grader, right? You put any kid from the inner city elementary school outside to survive, they're gonna figure out a way to survive. So I realized that I have a lot of life experience, right? So then I realized, all right, if I take advantage of school and put knowledge to that wisdom, I'm going to become a dangerous person to the overall world because I have the experience, I have the mindset. Now I'm adding the knowledge to that mindset and that experience. There's no one that can tell me anything. And I realized that like once I got to Utica College, I was like, I never thought I was going to go to college. But then once I got the opportunity to go to college, and like I realized that this opportunity of a lifetime to go to college for 5 years for free due to the HEOP program. Like shout out to that program because it helps. The program is meant for students that aren't underrepresented and that want to do well but just don't have the funds to do well. So I'm like, wow, someone's giving me this opportunity. I have to take advantage of it. And one thing I did have to do was I had to set myself aside. Like I had to step away from like my family and everyone here in Syracuse and realize I have to do this all by myself right now. Then I can go back and help them. And I overall say that was the hardest thing like for me to actually realize. Because while I'm at college, people are like, oh, you have siblings, this, that. But like I never talked about it because if I think about it and different things like that, I'm gonna want to go back and like try to help them. But if I don't have anything to help them with, then we're all gonna stay.
Yo, honestly, you just hit on a big topic that I really I really like because I'm a selfish individual, but I feel like I'm so selfish or selfless that I'm selfish, if that makes sense, because I want to give so much, but in order to do that, I know that I need to be selfish, work on me, work on building things so I could give the way I want to give to people and help them out. So I'm glad that you touched on that because a lot of people, they see people like us as, you know, they just care about themselves. They just care about their own success. But in reality, you know, it's kind of like being on the plane. They tell you to put your mask on before you help somebody else. Or put your life vest on before. So, you know, how are you gonna help somebody else? You can't help when you haven't helped yourself.
Yeah, I that terminology that you just said with the plane is pretty much my life right now. Obviously, you know, God has blessed me with financial stability that I thought I knew I would get here, but I was like, ooh, I'm really here now. So like, hey, God, so I'm like, I know I can help. But I'm not where I really want to be. Like when the time comes, when I put out that hand, it's gonna be that's gonna be more than a hand. Yeah, it's gonna be my whole body. I'm pulling everybody up.
Yeah. Boys at my neck, my back, my knees, my toes.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Nah, but that's definitely good to hear, man. But yeah, so let me ask you about, I guess you did, Daquan, you touched on like the negative influences, but is there someone that kind of one specific individual that really pushed you to be where you are here today, or someone that you idolize or admire that really got you to where you are today? Even if there isn't anyone, just maybe that's yourself. Or
so overall, I'll say my grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. So my grandma, she raised me, right? But as we were growing up, was she perfect? No, right? She was on drugs, right? She was doing different things in the community that at the time wasn't helping us. But her overall morals and things that she instilled in me and my siblings is what got me to where I'm at today, right? So she always told me, don't judge people, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has a story. And I had to think about that of, Why is she telling me not to judge people? Why? Because she's often the one being judged, right? She's a drug addict in the community. The community knows her because of the things that she's already done. And this is someone I live with. But I also see her fighting to provide anything she can for me, right? And my siblings. So I had to, it took me until I was in high school and college to really understand what that meant and really cherish and understand what she was actually doing for us. She was doing what she had to do, but she was still instilling morals and life lessons in us that we will learn down the road. No one ever has all the answers, or we don't ever have we always have moments where we click back and like, oh, this is what someone said to me 4 years ago. And it clicks to you in a random moment, and that's what's happened with me with everything I've learned from my grandmother. And like, you see a lot of people and you'll be like, oh, your grandma, she was a drug addict, but that's a fact. My drug addict grandma is my life role model.
No, your role model could definitely be
anyone.
Exactly. It could really be anybody. So, for the folks that are listening, don't feel like you have to idolize a millionaire or someone that's like very super successful, because even the people with, nothing could teach you more valuable lessons than the people who are at that higher position. For example, like my parents, they taught me a lot of like valuable morals that I still keep with today, that has helped me get to where I'm at here, right now. So let's talk about college, because you mentioned that you never thought you would be going to college or you even graduate from college. So, one, what made you go to college, from going from not envisioning yourself going to college and you actually graduating from college?
So realistically, football helped me go to college. Because like I said, like growing up in the city, like when I was at Corcoran High School, like after 9th grade, I had a 68 average. I've already started high school terrible. Ain't no one going to college with a 68 average. But also like school wasn't for me. There was different things in school that like I understood, but I didn't really know. So like I was always in advanced math, and I used to be in a program in the city school called NSBE, right? National Society of Black Engineers. And I was just good with numbers. So I used to be able to like look at it, do math and things in my head, write down the answer. My biggest thing that I used to always get in trouble for is you never show work. You never show work.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I hated that.
I don't know how I got this, but this is the answer. And I'm like, I'm not cheating. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. So I'll definitely say that realizing that like I gather in information, I understand information, but it's often hard for me to like explain how I got that information, like growing up and things. So in high school, when I started getting help my sophomore year, is halfway through my sophomore year at Baldwinsville, and they realized I wasn't completing tests, and like my essays and things that I hand in had great ideas, but I never completed an idea. Like I never put full detail into it. Like I was saying before, like I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't put it all together. So then I learned that I had a learning disability in 10th grade. So I'm in 10th grade, but my reading level was at a 7th grade reading level. So I'm in 10th grade, but I'm already 3 years behind, right? So at this point, I'm like, all right, this isn't for me. But the people around me believed in me, and that helped me realize that these people believe in me. I can't let these people down. And that's kind of what pushed me of like realizing that other people believed in me in order for me to believe in myself.
Okay. Is so on the topic of college, right? So when you got to college, let's just say you went 4 years, right? 4 years?
Yeah, I was there 5.5.
5.5. That's longer. I'll be honest. Yeah. That's one for you. So when you was in college, right? Was there ever? I'm pretty sure there's points for most people did, but my topic is college is a scam. Like I know there's certain stuff you need to go to college for, which is like doctors, medical field type stuff. Obviously, learn terminology. I guess teachers as well. But I feel like why did you pick the profession that you're in now in college when you went there?
So overall, I've always wanted to be a physical education teacher. Like when I graduated, it was funny. My high school guidance counselor, I'm still close with her, and when I graduated, she sent me like my very first meeting. She asked me what my life goals were, and it said to be a counselor, PE teacher, or a cop. And all three of them, in my mindset was I always wanted to help people, and in my life, those were people that I always seen to help me in different ways in my life, because a lot of my youth baseball coaches were in the law field, and my favorite teachers were my middle school PE teachers, and she was my counselor, and I was like, these are all people that help. So then I was like, all right, but I want to be comfortable. So I got on a sweater today and a pair of shorts. I could wear this comfortably and be a PE teacher and still educate somebody.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like coming from the inner city, not that it's always intimidating, but you wanna learn from someone that looks like you and feels and also feels how you feel. Right? When you see someone in like a suit and tie, sometimes it can be intimidating of like they're talking down on you or talking to you. And I want my students to feel, and always wanted people to feel like we're gonna do this together, right? I'm no different than you are, right? If you're gonna wear hoodies and shorts and sneakers, I'm gonna wear hoodies and shorts and sneakers, and we're gonna all do this together. So I think that's my main reason why I wanted to become a PE teacher and coach.
Well, I'm glad that you touched on that, because I feel like that's the reason why, me and Daquan, we're not here in suits and ties, because, we're educated in our own field and we're educating you guys, but, we're not trying to talk to you. We're trying to do this as a collective and just empower you guys so we could all win together. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah. So one thing about college, obviously, I feel like it's not worth it to me wise, especially in today's age. Cause all right, so I'm a numbers guy like you. I've always been super duper smart in math. That was anything math wise, I can do it without thinking. Yeah. So
with the square root of 68.
Square root of 60.
Nah, go ahead.
Okay, but you have the education, right, for the PE teacher.
Yeah.
But when you got to college, you probably took a bunch of electives and stuff that you really didn't need to become a PE teacher. Is that correct, right?
That's a fact.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of stuff we have this, which by this time this one comes out, the one about our episode number 2, which we talked about college, to be out. But we talked about it, and I said the same thing. Like they make you take all these curriculums, and you have to pay for them. And like you'll never end up using them, and now you're getting out with all that debt, and especially in this time and age, it's super competitive because in today's age, almost anyone can get a degree in our field. Kids nowadays, I think it's the ticket out. We have more people with degrees, the same 4 or 5 year degrees like everyone else than our parents did. So our parents go to school, get a degree because they didn't really know no one with degrees. Now we know a lot of people with degrees, and when you get out here in this market, you may have that degree, and so does 15 other people that you're going for the same thing is. So I'm like, it's just, to me, it's like it's repetitive. And a lot of the stuff you do when you get outside, you really don't even need that degree.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel like I was saying before, like knowledge is power, and no knowledge is wisdom.
Can you explain that meaning right there?
So to me, my meaning, the way I take it as like knowledge is power. So like you can understand what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it, and you understand a full breakdown. So like you said, numbers has always clicked to you, right? So you've always already had the knowledge of numbers and how to do those things. Now you just had to teach yourself how to do that organized, right? So as a landlord or as someone that's going to help someone with money and doing different things like that, you've already had that knowledge, right? And you have the wisdom through the experience of growing up, of not always having all the money, but how to make your money last, right? So you have the knowledge and you have the wisdom of it, and you bring it all together, right? For a lot of people, I feel like if you don't already know a trade or you don't have an idea of a trade, how school benefits you that way is it helps you gain the knowledge of what you want to do. Right? So I'll never force anyone to go to school, but if you don't have an idea, I'm going to encourage you to gain more knowledge of different things that you want to do. So most entrepreneurs, like, they have knowledge or idea of what they want to do, but they also put in the effort to educate themselves. Yeah. So whether you go to school or not go to school, you're putting in the time to educate yourself just for free. A lot of people say, oh, don't go to school, but they're also not telling them to study and educate yourself on what you want to do. Yeah. So that's a huge difference is, like, you'll hear a lot of people, oh, just go start a business. But if you're not giving them knowledge of how to start a business and how to have a business be successful, then that's where school sometimes helps. Yeah. Certain people, not all people. Because I'll definitely say I took one English class. I took a Shakespeare English class 3 times. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We remember using Shakespeare in the PE room. Right? Exactly. So there's different things where I'm like,
yeah.
So it got me for a couple grand for that one.
Yeah. So I'm the way you said it, a lot of people tell you obviously start a business or do that. So I've never been that type of guy. What I always tell people is, if you don't really know what you want to go to college for, don't take on a debt for no reason. I tell everyone right now, just go to trade school. Just go get a trade, 6 months to a year of your time. Let your life, get a little mature, figure it out. But at least you'll come out with something. Like, even if you then you can go to school right after. You're like, oh, go to school for this to be. I want to be a PE teacher like you, but I got a certificate as an electrician, making more than what I want, and the debt to my payoff is a lot different. So that's pretty much my goal right now. That I'm pushing trade school heavy.
Yeah, no, I definitely, even though I went to college and I got my bachelor's and my master's, if someone's going to put in the effort to going to trade school, still, even going to trade school, you're learning the knowledge still, right? So I still think the knowledge part, whether it's trade school or regular education school, is you're putting knowledge of why you're doing it and how what you're doing is important. Like, I'm pretty sure we all know a hood mechanic that can fix our car with a coat hanger and a motherfucking blow dryer, right? And jack your shit up, right? But he won't ever not be just a hood mechanic and actually get paid for his value. Yeah. So now he working on his cousin's car for $20 when he could work someplace else and get $200. Yeah. Right? Because he's not putting the knowledge part to show people of why he knows this and how he knows it. Yeah, he could do these things that people need $40 parts with a coat hanger. Yeah. Like we all know it, and we see it all the time.
And that's why I say trade school. Trade school is to me is a lot better. I wish I would have went to trade school first than wasting a year and some change in college for no reason. Because you actually go to trade school and learn your job. Like you said, you took Shakespeare English. They're not teaching you Shakespeare English. You're going to be a mechanic at the trade school. You're going there, working on the cars, and that's it. You go home, you know your next day, you're like, all right, I just got to figure out how to fix this car. You don't got to worry about if I got to figure out what Shakespeare did 1600s. Yeah. And I got to figure out, how to swim 1,000 laps. I hate swimming. Like that, I just want to learn how to fix a car. So that's why I pick trade school right now over everything. Like, I got 2 boys, and if my kids, unless they get, obviously, like, they become a superstar or something in some type of sport, then I got no problem you going to college. But if they just like me, I'll play, like, all I knew was, like, I was really smart. Well, I wasn't really smart. I was smart enough. So I was like, all I need is a 70. As long as I got 70, I might fail a test run, but I'm still passing because I think 65 is the minimum. So I just kept my 70 and I rode it to the end of my whole career. And I was like, well, I can get 70. You can get in any community college, no problem. So I did that. But one thing about me is when my kids get a little older, I'm going to tell them, hey, if school not for you, don't worry. Just go. We're gonna go to trade school, get you a little certificate and something. So that way, you always have a fallback plan. If college. So I end up going to school. My fallback plan was a little later in life where I decided to go to the Marines. but I went to school, like, oh, this not for me. Worked for a couple years. Good thing I stopped early. I was like, I'm going to Marines, so that was like a trade school for myself. So I'm going to push trade school initially, so that way then you can do it. Because what's 6 months to a year at a young age? You'll still be around the same age as your peers if you decide to go to college.
Yeah.
No, that's a fact.
So yeah, Alfonso. So what are some things that you learned in college as it correlates to, what you're doing right now?
Different things that I learned in college right now is definitely advocating for yourself and advocating for things you believe in. So right, in order to be a PE teacher, you have to have a master's degree to be a teacher in New York State in general. So, like I said, I've never been like book smart. I've always just been like life smart and understanding situation. Yeah. So overall, like when I graduated undergrad, I had a 2.84. In order to get into grad school, you need a 3.0. Right? So where advocating comes in is every day I was just about in the education office of like, I understand that like I don't have the GPA, but this is what I want to do. This is what I'm destined to do. This is what I will do. Like, you guys have to let me in, and I will be here every day until you do. So they seen my dedication of, all right, there's someone who wants to do it. So I got into the program as a promise student. Mm-hmm. Right? So the first semester I had a 3.0.
Wait, what is a promise student?
Promise student is like, we came to a mutual agreement that once I'm in the program, I'm going to get a 3.0.
Okay.
So the first semester, I got the 3.0. Second semester, still had a 3.0. Third semester, didn't get the 3.0. Right? So now I'm a probationary grad student. But then the fourth semester, I never boosted the GPA up again. So they're like, all right, like, we understand, but we're may have to let you go out of program. And I'm like, no. Like, this number of this grade does not define who I am. Like, you're not going to kick me out. I've made it this far. There's no one out there that can do my job better than I can. Like, I'm dedicated to this. This is what I'm going to do. So it's either we're going to sit here and argue numbers that's coming out of a book, but that book will never give the same love and care that I'm going to give students out in the world. So I had to learn to advocate for myself and advocate for things that I believe in. And that's what college taught me is no one's gonna hold your hand through college.
No one's gonna spoon feed you.
Yeah, no one's gonna spoon feed you. So I realized that like I have to do this myself, but I also have to advocate and talk for myself. And that's one thing that college taught me, because obviously you're on your own. Your parents aren't there. There's no one there to hold your hand. So you got to realize that like if you want anything in life in general, like you have to advocate for yourself and you have to know why you're doing it. The big thing in life is that a lot of people get caught up is they don't know why they do something. They just do it.
Yeah.
And then when they don't get the outcome they want, they get upset. But it's like you never had a goal going into it. But like I said, when I first got to Baldwinsville, I knew I wanted to be either a counselor or a PE teacher or a cop, right? And so that was always in the back of my mind of I can't let these people down. I can't let myself down, because this is what I'm destined to do.
Okay, yeah. So one thing you said about college was, your grade doesn't determine you, which I feel the same way about. That's why I'm like, school in general, it sucks because it's based off your grade point average. But I don't understand, if I got a passing grade, how am I failing? Because what's the difference between someone? A lot of times is we never really know. Like I do HR, and I also is the HR guy, so I do hiring and do interviews and stuff like that. But when I see your resume, I don't know that you had a 3.0 or you had the 2.0. It just says you have a degree. So I never understood that. If someone is passing and you got all these special programs, a passing grade is a passing grade. So in the real world, there's a handful of jobs, literally a handful of jobs, like Google CEO, like, all right, they probably ask you like what your GPA was because they're getting degrees from top of the dot. So they're picking the smartest and the brightest. But a regular 9 to 5, teacher, financial advisor, they didn't ask you like, hey, what was your GPA? They just you check the box. A bachelor's degree, check. Okay, all right, that's all we need, and that's it. So I don't think I say about school is that part sucks. I'm like, that what you just said doesn't make any sense to me. In the real world, it doesn't really determine. They base it on your grade point average for a lot of different requirements for you to get certain stuff. But in the real world, no one ever asks you that.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. I'll say my degree, the student that was president of our grade, they look just the same. Mm-hmm. Manila paper with black letters.
Yep, I said the same thing about my high school degree.
No GPA on there. Yeah, it may say in the corner you get to stand up at graduation of Magnum cum laude. Yeah, congratulations. I'm glad you worked hard, but you're just a little bit book smarter than I am. Yep. And I always say that, like, if you put me in a room with someone that is a lot book smarter than me. Mm-hmm. All right, like, are you life smarter than me? Exactly. Like, once we leave here, we're going into the real world. We're living life. Yep. You're not sitting in the library reading this book every day no more. This book only going to get you through so many situations. Yep. When you got to interact with someone, you can't say, oh, the book told me one time I should start off introducing my name.
Yeah. Exactly. That is a great point. That's a great point.
And wait, I want to say one thing. Elon Musk literally just said that in a tweet. I saw it. He was like, these people with degrees, they're not really that smart. They don't believe it. Just because they got a degree don't make them a genius. So I think the same
that
thing.
Is actual fact. But so let's transition into the spicy talk. Let's get into life after graduation. One, what was life after graduation? What were you trying to do? What were you trying to accomplish? What field were you trying to get into? How did that work out?
Life after college. It honestly all came really fast. So
that Beamer came fast too.
Yeah. I heard on the podcast. Yeah, you got that big Benz. I got something for that Benz.
The Beamer came quick, right? But overall, the Beamer was more for me personally.
Yeah,
right?
I did it.
I worked for it because obviously my first car took me 3 years to save for a $2,000 hoopty. Mm-hmm. I used to call it the Porsche, right? Everyone wants this fancy car, and I'm like, now I can have a fancy car, right? So that's what I wanted to do off for it, just for my self pleasure. Honestly, I'm a big guy. I'm not gonna keep this Beamer for long. It's just something to check off my checklist. And next couple of years, I'm gonna go with myself a truck, and that fits me, right? But overall, like we said, we're a flashy generation, but we gotta learn how to do it the right way. Exactly. So right now, I'm able to do that and be flashy and still be comfortable and do that, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, you make so much money. No, like, I'm smart with how I spend my money. So that's one thing of when I got the Beamer is, all right, I'm doing this for myself, but I'm going to do it the smart way. I'm not just going to go out buy a Beamer and can't afford it
Yeah, I like that one. So I was gonna ask you about
my fault. A lot of people feel like they could, just because they could buy, like, make payments on it, they think they could afford it. Like, if you're bringing in $2,000 a month, but your car loan is $500 a month, and then you got all your other bills, you can't afford that car. Like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to flex out
here? So I got something for that one, right? So right now I drive a 2012 Chrysler, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect. I got it. Obviously, I know how to the financial side of stuff. So my payments is cheap. But every day I wake up, right, and I look at a Tesla. I can afford a Tesla, brand new, straight off the lot. The super duper all charged up.
Boy, say, pay it off, drive it away.
But no, I'm not paying that. No. I can put a hefty chunk down, but what I don't buy it. I still drive my 2012 Chrysler every day because I'm not. When I get that Tesla, it's gonna be for a reason. Like, my goal is I want my Tesla to not be coming out of my pocket. I want it to be coming out of all my rental properties to stay stable. So that way it really is not coming from me. Apartment 1, apartment 2, and 3, add that up. that's my Tesla payment.
Yeah.
So that's the way I visualize things. Where that's why I don't drive flashy cars. I got two nice normal Honda and a Chrysler, and they're just nice regular. But I know you got the Beamer, because it's the flashy side. But if you could change it, I'm not gonna ask about the financial side of the payments, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher than if you just got like a Toyota or a Honda or something like that.
So
and
how
you save money put it in.
So how how the Beamer came about was my $2,000 car I had broke down. Right. So I work in a summer camp, and the summer camp is out in the woods. So my first weekend off, I came back to Utica to like get a couple more of my things to take back up to the woods. As I'm driving, right, getting ready to drive back to work, turn the corner, boom, I hear it. I'm like, oh, what was that? Everything starts smoking. Oh. I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. So then I can't really drive the car. It's getting stiff. So the only place that it could slow roll into was a funeral home. Funeral home. At that point, God was telling me,
that's crazy.
God was telling me, let it go. So I let it go. Take it to the king. So I went and got it fixed, and it was $900. Then they're like, well, you have about another $2,400 to put down, and I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
I could just get a different car for this.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, all right, like I have a stable job, stable income now. I don't buy anything else. I don't have any other bills. So let's spoil myself and get something that like I want to get right now. And so that was how I came about with getting the Beamer, because my overall plan was to drive Big Blue into the ground.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing this Chrysler.
Big Blue took itself to the ground. so that's how it all came about, and that's where I'm at now. So everyone loves saying, "Oh, you got money." I'm like, no. I'm smart with my money.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. So when it comes to being smart with their money, now there's other ways. Like, one thing I can say about the 9-to-5 life is a lot of people get trapped in there. And to me, I tried to stay away from that. I was close to obviously just riding the Marine Corps wave out 20 years or whatever. God had a different plan for me. So right now you're making obviously teacher salary. Most people know how much teachers make. Now future wise, is that your main goal? Are you just plan on working, till you retire, or just
no. So I'm big on like educating myself and like the richest people, they have 5 to 6 different ways of income. So my main thing was, all right, what else can I do that I'm good at in life, right? So that was part of why I started my motivational business, right? I want to start off small, but I want to be able to like start talking to people, and that way people know what they're gonna get out of me, right? And then after a couple of teases of talking to people, then I plan on like taking off of being paid for talking to people and sharing my knowledge with people. And then from there, I want to become like a life coach, right? Okay. And then you have to pay for a life coach. You have to pay for a motivational speaker. And then from there, after that, depending on where I'm at in life or in what I'm doing with coaching and different things, I'm going to decide what I want to do from that.
Okay.
And depending on my money situations is to look into like real estate and things, because I ain't gonna lie, I think I could talk very well.
You're in the right podcast though.
Right. Like overall, obviously there's more to real estate than just like talking, but like if I can get the knowledge and learn the backside of real estate, like, I could do that. You give me a couple of clients, we're gonna go look at a house. We're going to go to the Pioneer Homes, and someone's going to think they have Beverly Hills when I walk out of there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is what you get. This is what you got. A couple windows, furnished, it's insulated, everything.
Yeah.
So,
but let's just take today wise. Now, I know that we're all 9-to-5 workers at this point.
Yeah.
So you have your 9-to-5, but are you doing anything that's going to help you? Because one thing I learned, and Mario can attest to this because he's the financial advisor, is, you don't want to wait to, every year that goes by is a couple thousand or a couple $100,000 that you're losing on the front end, like investing in the stocks or stuff like that. Do you have life insurance? I'm pretty sure it's school stuff.
Yeah. So I currently have a financial advisor that I signed up with that came to our school. Mm-hmm. I did it. So school started in September. I signed up with them in November. Like the first 2 months, I was like, nah, I'm just gonna keep all my money. I won't keep all my money. And then cause I did take his pamphlet the first time he came, and I just started looking like, Jesus, if I'm 65, I can have this much money saved up by then. Right. And actually visually being able to see those numbers, I was like, oh, I got to jump on the wave then.
Yeah.
And then I started putting money aside for retirement and a Roth. One thing that I haven't put money aside yet, Mario explained to me, is a different type of life insurance and things. It's not just about when you die. It's legitimately for your life.
That's definitely something, because I know we haven't really been getting too much into the different type of financial topics, the different type of real estate topics. We're just trying to, these first few episodes, we're just trying to build that mindset for you guys to lead you to those, financial topics. But stay tuned for that, that life insurance topic. But so I just want to touch on, find the wisdom, because we spoke about it briefly, but fully explain what made you start that company.
So overall, what made me start that company is kind of what Daquan just said when he asked what else do I want to do besides just teach 9 to 5 until I have to retire, right? So I've always known that I love talking. I could talk a lot, and it's funny. It's random, but I realized that I should really go do it when I work at a summer camp. I was speaking to this lady in the woods, up at archery, and her family was there. And then after, at the end, she was like, oh, what do you do, in the real world? And I was like, oh, I'm a teacher. And then she was telling me how she's a teacher. And she's an art teacher in Philly. And so I was like, all right. So then we started talking, and we just were going back and forth. And she was like, have you ever thought about being a motivational speaker?
Wow, she brought that up first?
Yeah, so I've always had the thought of doing motivational speaking, but I wasn't sure how I would do it or if people would even listen to me. And then so speaking to this random lady at an archery field in the woods, and just from a regular conversation, when her saying that, I was just like, this is God telling me that I need to go do this.
Yeah, it's nice when you already have a thought and somebody confirms that thought.
Yeah, make you feel okay.
I'm
feeling
yeah.
See, I was thinking about it, but I should really. That right there put me on the track.
Yeah, because I'll definitely say obviously I have friends and things of saying oh, you should have been started a YouTube channel, this and that.
You should.
But I never I always thought of it as a game, just laughed it off and joked it off. But having someone random that I legitimately have no idea who she is say that to me, it really sparked me of yo, go do this. And it just goes along with my life thought of, yes, my grandma was my main role model, but I've always took life as I'll listen to anyone and take knowledge from anyone that I come in contact with, even a bum on the street, right? At some point, they were living a life, and anything they tell me, I'm going to take in because they're sharing that for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes, can they get out of their situation? Yeah, but it's going to take them a long time. They don't want to see someone else like them. So that's why I've always had the mindset of you can learn from anyone and take knowledge from anyone. So for her to say that to me, I was like, all right, that makes sense. It's time for me to do it.
Okay.
So find the wisdom. What does that mean to you right there?
Find the wisdom to me is there's a positive in every situation that we have in our life, right? No matter whether it's a trip to the grocery store, it's an argument with a sibling, it's an argument with a loved one. There's a life lesson that you learn.
Even death, would you say?
Yeah, right? So there's a lesson that you learn in everything in life, but you have to find it. You have to realize what it meant to you and how it affected you. So for me, overall, a lot of people are like, would you bring your mom back, or would you change this, or would you change that? If I was to bring her back, I wouldn't be who I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Yeah.
Because my life would be different. Yeah. Right? So over the years I had to find the wisdom in losing my mom at such a young age, of finding the wisdom of never having a dad and just looking up to different male figures as like a dad role model. So that's different. That's where finding wisdom comes from. It's your life experiences that you have, but you have to find the lesson. You have to find the good in all of them, whether it's good, bad, negative. Everything you do in life, every interaction you have has a meaning. You just have to find and figure out that deeper meaning. And I think that's a huge thing with mental health nowadays. Is mental health is a huge thing, but we have to realize and try to find why these things happen to us, and put it all together of how we're going to move forward with it now. And I think that's a big thing that with society nowadays, with everything being so social media, is there's not like a lot of people interaction. We're just always dependent on technology, and technology isn't always helping us find like our outer being, because we're always stuck in one place. We gotta venture out and get our mind going and stimulated of how can we change and realize what's going on around us in our life and why it happens.
Okay.
All right, Alfonso. So where do you see Find the Wisdom taking you? Where do you see it in the future?
So I see it taking me, realistically, I wanted it to take me all around the world, right? I want to impact the youth and young adults all around, rather than just Syracuse, because obviously you can always stay in your own hometown, but I want to reach out and like touch more lives. So coming up more recently, I've been in contact with a couple colleges to like try to speak at colleges to get my name out there. I've already done a couple of talks for the PE teachers in the city of Syracuse, all the PE health and facts teachers from elementary to high school. I had the opportunity to speak to Section 3, like their SAT committee, so like their education committee students. I've had opportunity to speak to a couple larger family groups where they have family from all over, ranging from like New York, Alabama, Florida, California, almost like a huge family reunion. And I've got to do like just a couple small talks with just different friend groups and like community groups. So overall, in the upcoming months, I see Find the Wisdom with COVID opening things up a little bit more. It is really taking off, like on 0 to 100. Because my biggest thing is, how can I connect with someone and leave an impact on someone? And obviously with COVID going on, it's a little harder to leave my mark and impact on someone to a computer. Like I'm still gonna give people the same part of me, but I feel like you seeing someone in person, having that interaction in person, changes your overall thought. So like my one of my favorite motivational speakers is Eric Thomas, and like how we were talking about how we like to be comfortable. He goes every show with a snapback, a hoodie, and some sweatpants, right? But he's one of the top motivational speakers in the world. Why? Because he gives people everything he has, and he's comfortable with doing it, and people feel that energy and that passion in his voice and the energy that he gives off to people, right? He goes and gives speeches to people that are in suit and ties, right? That are paying to come see him in a hoodie and shirt.
Yep.
Right? And that's where I see Find the Wisdom going is just really taking off and being able to travel and do different things. And I've always said to myself, like, if it means giving up something to be able to go do that to impact people, I'll give up something to be able to
Yeah.
do that. Like, because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, life is about how to impact other people and what you do for others. And sometimes you gotta sacrifice one thing to really elevate the next thing.
So with that though, I think we touched on it briefly. Was starting? I think you mentioned this. You said it's hard to really reach out to people via online. But in my opinion, I think that is the best way, because a lot of the times, if you're putting that content out there, you're not as you mentioned, you're not going to stay in Syracuse. But when you put something on the internet, it's global, all off of the initial. Mm-hmm. So it can be some dude in China that just stumbled across your video. Now he's telling 3 of his friends or 2 of his friends, and the next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, my school is doing this, thing in China," and you're out there in China giving that. So if I, my opinion, I think you should definitely content. Now, obviously, you see, we're starting a podcast. Content-wise, we both have the audio and the visual, but I'm not the best at the visual side. I'm decent on the audio side, but over time it's gonna get better. So if I was you, it might not be the best quality, it might not be the best quantity, but just get it out there and let everyone see it. Cause I saw a podcast with you on it even before he had mentioned you coming out here. I had saw someone steer the podcast with you on there, that podcast that we talked about, and I was like, oh, okay. Then he had your tag in there, had your page, followed your page. Now I'm following you on Facebook.
Yeah. So I'll definitely say, for those that are listening, I do have Find the Wisdom on Facebook. It's Find the Wisdom on Facebook, and it's Find the Wisdom _. On Instagram, I do put out daily messages. Mm-hmm. I try to put out daily messages 3 to 4 times a week, just to spark you guys up and to get your mindset thinking. And I'll definitely say I'm a motivational speaker that I want you guys to think. I don't want to just give people the answers, because I don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers, but I want to give you encouragement to think about your life choices and your things that you're dedicated to, and what you may think you're dedicated to, and how you're gonna change how you do that. And I think that's a big part of who I am and what I want to do. Is I want to force people to think and push themselves outside of their comfort zone, and just to be overall better people.
Yeah, we'll definitely put your the name of and the links in the description. So you guys are hearing a lot of gems right now, a lot of bars, a lot of game right now. So Alfonso, we definitely appreciate you. But before you go, we need one last gem.
All right,
we need one big gem.
One last gem, right? So I'll go with my quote. My own quote is, "Let your obstacles shape your future." Right? That's the quote that Find the Wisdom lives by. Is take everything that you learn in your life and put it to your life. Don't let it limit you. A fear of failure can limit your life. Don't be afraid to be different. Like, don't allow fear to stop you. Don't allow fear to get in the way. Take that leap in life. Take that jump and do whatever you can do to better yourself, better your family, and don't be afraid to be different.
We appreciate you.
Wow, man. Before Alfonso came on this podcast, I already knew I was going to be a millionaire, but now I feel like I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire, man. Yeah. Let's get this money.
Yes, for sure.
And we'll definitely, I don't want to call you an alum because I'm pro college, but you're the first, so we want to thank you for being our first guest.
Flipping Finance alum. But thank you for joining the podcast and just educating our community on these different topics, because together that's how we're gonna help everyone move forward, and we're all gonna eat and all be successful. So Alfonso, again, appreciate the time. Keep doing your thing. Keep motivating the youth, because obviously the youth are gonna be the leaders of our future. So we respect what you do.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That's episode 3 of Flipping Finance. We out.